great storyteller. The night we met, she told me about the time she made out with Dennis Hopper. Now, in case you're wondering, that is not my Kevin Bacon connection. That would give me a Bacon number of 4, because I knew Tony, who made out with Dennis Hopper, who was in Apocalypse Now with Martin Sheen, who was in JFK with Kevin Bacon. My Bacon number is 2, so we'll get to that. My mom introduced me to Tony in the spring of 1996. Tony worked part-time at the gift shop my mom managed, and she didn't know many people in the area. My mom thought I could be a friend to Tony because we were close in age. I didn't really want the burden of someone else's social life. I had just transitioned to a new job within my company. I was trying to help some family members who were dealing with a serious illness, and compounding all of that, I was suffering a broken heart. But at my mom's urging, I agreed to meet Tony at a pretentious bar she had chosen. When I arrived, the jazz combo was setting up in the corner, and Tony was drinking a glass of some type of wine that was unfamiliar to me. From working with my mom, Tony already knew a bit about me and my family. I asked about hers, but she thought I was being intrusive, responding something like, "One really doesn't share that kind of personal details with a stranger." So we talked about work instead. Tony had worked in sales and management for a major hotel chain for some years. It was while she was working at a hotel in Wrightsville Beach that she met, and subsequently made out with, Dennis Hopper. I think Tony was telling me this to try to impress me, but I actually found it very unappealing. For starters, Dennis Hopper was 36 years older than me, and my mental image of him was as the villain, the unattractive villain from Speed, the Muppet movie, and Cape Fear. I recently learned he wasn't actually in those last two, but I thought he was. Probably because the villain in the Muppet movie is named Doc Hopper, and I don't know why I confused him with Robert De Niro. Anyway, when she wasn't kissing celebrities, Tony was working long hours. She told me about her ambitions and how she had been the youngest person to achieve some title or recognition within the hotel chain. But overworked and exhausted, she had quit. I was surprised that someone so driven and young, though I didn't know how old she was, had burned out. Now Tony was working in marketing at the corporate office of a clothing retailer. She had taken the second job at the gift shop because she didn't know what to do with free time. At the end of the night, I wasn't sure whether I liked Tony. She was snobby and a braggart, but I also thought she was kind of sophisticated. She knew about wine and jazz. She was stylish. She had traveled extensively. Hanging out with her was an opportunity for aspirational living, like reading Condé Nast's Traveler or Architectural Digest. And I was lonely. Most of my friends had moved or were traveling for their jobs, or they were finishing their degrees. I had been unwisely spending time with my ex-boyfriend. I could give Tony another shot at friendship. So we met up at the same bar a couple of days later, and soon we were going there 2 or 3 times a week. Little by little, I learned more about Tony. Her stories were dotted with hints and glimpses of wealth and adventure. She had grown up in Pennsylvania in a close-knit Italian family. They expected her to excel, so she finished high school early and started her career while she was still in college. So she didn't say when or where. Details like that were often omitted. I also learned that she too was getting over a breakup. Her fiance had called off their engagement over conflicts in their careers. He was offered a promotion in Texas and she wanted to stay on the East Coast. Because she had worked so much, her fiance Mitch had been her whole social life. So I was eager to introduce her to my friends who were returning home to Northern Virginia for the summer. They weren't quite sure what to make of Tony. She vacillated between being prim and condescending and flirty and frenetic. Sometimes she could be very intense. She would get so close to you when she was talking with this really wild look in her eyes. And she had this habit of winking a wonder whether she was punctuating her stories, or letting you in on a joke, or trying to tell you she was taking artistic license. I understood my friend's hesitations about Tony, but I was willing to overlook her quirks and omissions because our friendship was exactly what I needed at that moment. An escape from moping about my ex-boyfriend or complaining about work. She was fun and spontaneous, and so was I when we were together. She introduced me to bars and nightclubs I hadn't been to before, and we'd stay out until 2 or 3 a.m., laughing, listening to music, and dancing. We didn't really talk that much outside of making plans or going out. And when we did, Tony preferred to call me, or that I call her at work. The number she had given me for her day job was the main number at the corporate office, and she always answered that line, which was odd since she said she managed the marketing department. She would explain that she was filling in for the receptionist while she was at lunch, or that she just happened to be walking by the front desk when the phone rang, or she saw my number at caller ID. Late in the summer, one night when she came to pick me up, Tony never wanted me to pick her up, or even told me exactly where she lived. She asked me for a favor. When her ex Mitch had moved to Texas, he had taken some of her things with him, and she wanted them back. Tony had tried unsuccessfully to get in touch with Mitch, so now she was pressuring me to call him at work. I reluctantly agreed. He was a manager at a big box store, so I waited on hold while they paged him. When he got on the line, I said, "Hi, I'm friends with Tony. She wanted me to ask you to please call her about her things. I can give you her number." There was a big sigh on the other end of the line. "I have her messages. I have her number. When you asked her to stop calling me and having her friends harass me too," he hung up. What had just happened? It felt like I had unwittingly helped her stalk Mitch. Soon after that, my mom told me she had fired Tony from the gift shop. Merchandise had been going missing from the store's back room, and my mom was pretty certain Tony was the culprit. I found it hard to believe, but Tony never brought it up, and neither did I. As summer turned to fall, I was exhausted from going out 6 or 7 nights a week, and I was a little tired of the mystery that was Tony. Though we'd known each other for 6 months, I didn't really know that much about her. Nevertheless, her birthday was at the end of September, though she still wouldn't tell me how old she was. I had invited some friends over, cooked dinner, and baked a cake. Tony was 2 hours late for the party because she had been shopping. I was hurt and regretting the gift I had bought, tickets to see Harry Connick Jr. play with his punk band at George Mason. I hoped he'd at least have a good time at the concert. The show was at the end of October, and it was fantastic. When it was over, Tony wanted to join some other fans who were waiting for Harry Connick Jr. outside the concert hall. While we were waiting in line, Tony chatted with the couple behind us, Vic and Ray. Like Tony, Ray had been to see Harry Connick Jr. play a number of times. Tony also started talking and flirting with the guys in the band as they came out. Before I knew what had happened, one of them had invited her to hang out, and she had accepted for all 4 of us. I had driven to the concert, so now Tony was expecting me to drive us to the hotel where Harry Connick Jr. and his band were staying. As she, Vic, Ray, and I walked to my car, I was silently panicking. We had just met Vic and Ray. They seemed nice, but maybe it was a ruse to rob us, carjack me, or worse. And now we were going with these strangers to meet other strangers at a hotel. I felt like I had crossed the line from spontaneous to stupid as I drove us all into DC. The get-together at the hotel was not the wild scene I feared, though. It was us, a couple of guys from the band, though not Harry Connick Jr., the assistant tour manager, and a few other fans who had been invited from the line. I was bored and ready to go almost as soon as we got there. But the assistant tour manager was taken with Tony, Soon, he was asking her to be his guest at the concert in DC the following night. So the next evening, I left work early because she had said she'd only go if all four of us could go. When we picked up our tickets from Will Call, we were in the third row. But better still, we had backstage passes. I enjoyed the show even more than the night before, but I couldn't wait for what was coming after. The assistant tour manager led us to a room where we would meet Harry Connick Jr. He was tall and gorgeous, and I was so starstruck, I could barely get out how much I had enjoyed the concert. I only saw Tony a few times after the show. There was no disagreement or discussion about the end of our friendship. I had just learned that I preferred genuine friendships and stories where I could separate fact from fiction. However, because of Tony, I met Harry Connick Jr., who was on Will and Grace with Kevin Bacon.